back, everybody. So today we're going to have a side-by-side. So on my left is my porter with Crystal 60 with chocolate malt and Carafa I, Husked Carafa I. On my right is the same thing, just with Husked Carafa II. Now I did do a standalone review for each one of these that I will post up here. I know there was one comment, I haven't been through them yet, about how can you compare beers that are not the same ABV, they're going to be different. Well, when they put out the top 10 IPAs of 2020, 2021, 2019, those aren't the same ABV. Same thing with stouts and porters, they're all not. They could have different adjuncts, different grain bills. So we're just comparing the taste. Yes, I know one beer that's higher in ABV could taste different than a beer lower in ABV. We are just tasting side by side what we have now, because if whatever ABV wins, maybe that person wants to try and hit that with the taste, smells that brings versus the other one. So yeah, you're never going to have a true comparison. Yes, I could have got them closer, but again, I brew these in small batches. I don't brew a big batch, then split them, because if I did that, there's no way I could do, smaller batches of one with Crystal 60 and chocolate malt versus Crystal 60 and chocolate rye malt or something like that. So ABV is not that far apart in my opinion. The one on my left is 4.11, the one on my right is 4.5. Close enough. We're just going to go with it. I'll set those aside. Like I said, the one on my left is 4.11% ABV. The one on my right is 4.5% ABV. I would say, if anything, the one using the Carafa II has a little more head on it than the version 1. Now, the version 1 has been out longer. But if we go with color, looking at them side by side, I don't know if you guys can tell. It looks black in the camera, but the Carafa I version is a little lighter brown than the Carafa II version that I can see. Even at the very bottom of this one, it's a darker brown hue than it is here. I can see more of it. So if you're going for a darker beer, obviously the Carafa II would be better. It is a darker SRM, so you'll be better off. Let's go ahead and smell. I think there is more sweetness in the first version, so the Carafa I. The Carafa II has more of a roasted coffee smell to it. And I do think the Carafa I version should be sweeter, just because the ABV is lower, so there's more sugar in the beer. So that would lead to a sweeter beer. I think for the smell, I would have to go with the Carafa II. I am a coffee drinker. That coffee smells better than the sweetness in one. I can't really pick out any chocolate. Maybe very light, but it's in both of them. And the Carafa II version covers that chocolate up because of the roastedness in there. So yeah, I would give it to the Carafa II for the smell. Let's go ahead and taste. A little bit more bitterness now. Yeah, I think in the standalone review, I said the bitterness had to be like 10. Beersmith called for 29.3 IBUs. I would say, yeah, 25, 30. Yeah, it's bitter on the back end. I think Carafa II version, it's still thicker though, which is kind of weird because the higher the ABV, the more sugar the yeast eat, which would produce a thinner beer. And in this case, that Carafa II, at least it tastes thicker. And I don't know if that's because of the roasted malt. It's definitely thicker. Yeah, the Carafa One version, I almost want to say now that there's kind of a slight caramel, like a slight caramel light coffee note in there, where the Carafa Two is more, I wouldn't say bold coffee, but stronger coffee versus the Carafa One. For carbonation level, they're pretty much the same. I would like to see some more carbonation. It's almost like drinking cold brewed coffee, like lighter cold brewed coffee. Yeah, I think the Carafa 2 version has more coffee, maybe a little bit more chocolate, less less sweetness, which I prefer. So if you prefer more sweetness, you might like the version 1. I don't know. I guess you could maybe add that Simpson's brown coffee to this version 1, just how it is, to bring out more coffee if that's what you're looking for in your porters. It might get it to the Carafa 2 version, but my guess is you're going to spend more on the Carafa 1 recipe than you would the Carafa 2, because I think I buy them in those man 2-pound packs, and I think they're all around 205. So you're going to spend more trying to get the Carafa 1 version closer to the Carafa 2 instead of just making the Carafa 2. If you wanted more sweetness, you could add a little bit more base malt probably. Don't let it attenuate all the way. But I think 4.5 is a good level for a porter, at least in my eyes. I think they should be lighter. They shouldn't be a stout. I think 5%, somewhere in there, maybe a touch over, is where I would want to see a porter, nothing more. But that's just me. Yeah, I think on the taste, I would have to go with the Carafa 2 version. I think that's fine. I don't know. I'll have to do another side-by-side with this one. Maybe I'll do it with the chocolate base version and the Carafa 2 version. I think that's what I did. Just to see, because I'm not sure what the chocolate malt is bringing to the table. It almost tastes like the Carafa 2 is overpowering that chocolate malt. So I'm not sure it's needed, but because I don't watch any of the older videos, so I would really have to go back and see what that chocolate malt is doing to that beer, because it almost seems like nothing, because I'm really not getting chocolate. It almost seems like everything's from the roasted malt, and that Carafa 2 is taking over. So from this, let me know which one you would drink. Also, let me know if you've used these malts before. Check out some more videos over here. And until next time, happy brewing.